end of our days. When our time comes, we need ourselves from what we've done.
Welcome to Diablos Digest. I'm your host, Jay Reason, and I am joined with my co-host, the one and only Ivan Murillo. Yo, what's up, buddy? What's going on over there?
How's it going? Whole lot of nothing, same old shit, you know?
What do you got for me?
Well, it was a pretty big weekend in hardcore where you had the Bane reunion shows, you have Biohazard coming back.
Yeah, let's start from the beginning. So let's start with what's a little closer to home, I guess, for you and I, which would be the Biohazard shows. I unfortunately didn't get to make it out to either of the shows, but I got to see the videos, and our boy Morgado was there, posted a bunch of photos and stuff. Yo, shit looked crazy, man. Shout out to Tom Sheehan and Indecision for playing. Their set looked great. King 9 looked great too.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like people were really amped for Biohazard's original lineup back in action. Seemed like it was bonkers shit, you know?
Yeah, now like what's the deal as far as you heard? There's a new record coming, right, for them?
That's what they're saying.
What do you think? Are people going to be into that?
I mean, I think by all accounts, it seems like there's some renewed interest in the band. And
yeah,
I mean, they're one of my all-time favorites. I was bummed I wasn't able to go to either of the shows. Friday was just kind of a little too close. Sunday was Father's Day. I had my son, so
well, the tickets were a little bit the tickets were a little pricey too. Like the aftermarket value was way up there too. So would have made it that would have made it hard to get in. Then what did we have? The Sunday show.
Yo, we don't gotta like that. Come on, stop.
Yo, don't make the listeners feel bad. You know, this isn't the make you feel bad podcast. You know. So Sunday we had the Almighty Sworn Enemy, which was nice to see them. I saw they brought Lorenzo out there on guitar, which was cool. Yeah,
Sub-Zero.
Fury
5, Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero. Shout out to our boy Lou. Yo, Fury 5 looked great too, man. I would like to. I know we'll probably not get a Connecticut show, but Pitts needs to make that happen. You know.
Yeah,
Fury 5 laid to rest.
You know, I didn't see any Fury 5 clips or anything. Obviously, I think there's probably some interest there. And Sheer Terror, of course, they played.
Sheer Terror, yep. Tom Sheehan posted some Fury videos. So that was like the clips I saw. And it looked just like the stuff that you and I used to like back in the day from them, you know?
Oh, yeah. They always had great stage presence, you know?
Yo, Yankee Doodle style, you know? Right? You can't top that.
Can't stop the unstoppable, you know?
No, yeah, that shit was hard. It's funny because that's like the first time I would say I really got into them was like when I never listened to No Reason to Smile. The record that really got me on them was the Victory record. Remember that one? That first one on Victory.
Yeah, was it At War with the World?
Yeah, that shit was hard. That was definitely a staple in the.
I'll tell you one thing. I was never a huge Fear fan, you know, just to be honest. But remember their song on the East Coast Empire comp?
Well, that's where I was.
The One and All remix. That was the one. That's a hit song.
That's funny because where does that fall in the timeline? Because to me, I always tell you like everything is such a blur. Is that before the Victory signing?
I think so, yes.
Okay,
so it's
So
1997. I think they dropped At War with the World in 1997 as well, but this was before that.
I was gonna say, I think I'm with you. Like I remember No Reason to Smile coming out, and I remember people like CJ from Death Threat was one of the first people I remember like really being into them. And
I think Big E and the Grippos, come on, all those guys.
Yeah, the Grippos, all those guys like that record,
sure.
You know. But they didn't really win me over till the comp song. You're right, because then they had E-Town on it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty fucking cool, and the production was like really good.
That song was like omnipresent. Like it reminds me of 1997. Like that's a hit song. Like if there was like hit singles that year in hardcore, that would have been near the top of the list for me. It's a great song. It just stays in your head. It's like an earworm.
It really is. That was man, that was such a great track. Like I remember, again, you and I were kind of spoiled, so I think we got to hear that way before the comp was out.
Yeah, I'll tell you that's like one of those forgotten comps. It's East Coast Empire Records, The Harder They Come comp, Despair, Hatebreed,
what a good comp.
Push Button Warfare, Stigmata.
Can you find that? I'm gonna here while you talk.
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube, but it's not on for streaming. Unfortunately.
Well, hold on. You talk really quick about it, and I'm gonna see what the aftermarket value on Discogs is for it.
I don't think it's gonna be high, but
what's the name of the comp one more time?
The Harder They Come. It's just a great comp. And East Coast Empire Records, for anyone that doesn't know, is a local record label to Connecticut, run by a guy named Dave Duncan, who was he was in the band Higher Force back in the day. He had a skate shop in Connecticut called The Fifth Dimension.
He put out Sum of All Fears, which is one of my favorite CDs.
He put out Reach the Sky,
Reach the Sky.
Chimera. It was like their first record, right?
Before they got signed to Roadrunner. Yeah, you can
But-
get it for right around $3 to $8 on Discogs. So yeah, if anybody hasn't gotten that, man, I definitely urge you to get it because that's a really great.
Also, I'm pretty sure you can go on YouTube and just listen to the whole thing anyway. It's the first recording of Hatebreed's Before Dishonor song, which is on Satisfaction.
Yeah, I mean,
I personally like the version on the comp better than the one that's on the record.
yeah, I mean, this one has Push Button Warfare, Drowning Room, Divided by Hate, Despair, Some of All Fears, Disbelief, Follow Through. Yeah, that was a really good comp, and yeah, that I remember that and that
Train of Thought.
and that the what was that it was on whole Pin Drop Records was the only other place you can get the Hatebreed songs.
That was
they're kind of like
that was Mark My Words was on that. That
Yeah.
version is awesome too. Yeah, it was Pin Drop Records 7-inch comp. I forget the name of it, but it was Together as One. I think was the name of the comp.
Yeah, that was a really
good one.
good comp. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Yeah. What else? I was going to talk about today, Tuesday. When
Big
we're
label
recording
announcement.
this.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
Today when we're recording this, you guys probably already have heard about it, but there's a Pain of Truth is dropping their new album, which is very exciting. We are very lucky that we got a variant from Days. Shout out to Lumpy. The name of the new Pain of Truth is Not Through Blood. The Static Era variant is 200 ultra clear with blue splatter. This thing looks sick. Ivan, did you see the track listing for this and all the features?
I didn't see that yet.
Oh,
I just
man,
saw the ad. I saw the ad with the color and all that stuff. And
Yo,
I didn't see it.
let me throw a couple things here at you.
Please do.
So they have Freddy from Madballs on it, Justice from Trapped Under Ice, Jay from Mind Force, Vinny from The Movie Life. They got Josiah from Criminal Instinct. They got Brendan from Incendiary. They got Vogel from Terror.
Wow, holy
They
shit!
got Anthony and John from Vane. They got Shane from Bad Seed. They got Austin from Buried Dreams. And they got Corin from Last Wishes. So this thing is like, oh, and then the single you heard today, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to overlook it, was with Steve from 200 Stab Wounds, and that one's called Acting Up. This record's got everybody on it, man. So again, man, I felt very lucky to get a variant for us. Shout out to Zach, who we had on Digest episode number 1.
Man.
Yeah, it's funny. This is gonna sound like I'm talking shit because I am, but it's like Zach, a dude who is like doesn't really know me, doesn't fucking owe anything to Static Era, doesn't nothing, right? He remembers to give us a variant, gives us a color. There's other bands out there over the years that I have helped numerous times and given free advice, all kinds of shit. In fact, telling them what to do in their plan to get their masters back and say to them, hey, this like is this is a way to do it and make things right. Give me a variant. We don't get shit, right? Dudes we've known for 20 fucking years. Zach Stash, you're the fucking man. Number 1. I told you that today. Just the man. Remembers to do shit for no reason. Didn't have to do it, but did it. So Zach, thank you so much. That variant's up now. What were you gonna say? You look like you got something on your mind there.
Nothing. Just that's cool shit, man. It's following obviously the Laid to Rest greatest hits variant that Static Era is also doing.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. 2 cool little projects, 2 cool variants that you got to do. And yeah, obviously fucking everyone's listening to this should go buy that shit.
Yeah, no, again, I'm really excited. And like I said, that track listing is insane. So shout out to Dave, shout out to Lumpy. There's a bunch of variants out there. Ours, I saw Triple B has one, Generations has one, Death Wish, Rev, everybody. So this is gonna be the fucking album of the year. I'm excited, man.
I mean, it's gonna have some competition from Restraining Order, who just announced.
Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. Let's not blow it. I was gonna say alongside our guest, but you jumped in before I could say that. So yeah, alongside we have a cool guest today that I'm excited to bring on. Just trying to think if there was anything else. By the time you heard this, we just put out a new episode of full episode of Diablos Den. Shout out to Andy from Thorpe Records for doing that. He just sent over a bunch of copies of his new book. And again, by the time you hear this, we'll be doing a contest on the Static Era record / Danny Diablos. Instagram. We're giving away a copy. Check that episode out. Again, I want to thank everybody who has been downloading not only the digest episodes, but the Ruckus podcast and our full episodes. As always, these are sponsored by Diablos, DannyDiabloMerch.com and Force5Records.com. So yeah, really exciting stuff going on. We had a great episode, Yvonne, with Danny the other day I was telling you about. So let me get
Oh wait, hold on, wait. There's a couple more things.
Yep.
So the Bane shows also looked crazy.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I didn't get a chance to go to this, but I saw fucking videos and that shit looked insane.
Yeah, it looks Suicide File, Colin Varabia.
Yeah, shout out Sarah Ed. She went to the show and saw Suicide File the night before, they played at it was like they headlined somewhere. I think it was in Massachusetts.
One of my
somewhere.
favorite bands. I'm bummed
I
missed the shows.
I was always really into them. You got me into them at first. I liked them, but you really kind of like repeated playing when we used to drive around. Really kind of hit those records for me. A band that I feel like a lot of people look over, gets overlooked as much because they are very good. And it still holds up till this day. Like if you listen to those records, it still sounds, like as current and modern as the new shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that stuff holds up a lot more than a lot of the stuff from that era. That early 2000s era for sure.
Absolutely, man.
And I just want to give a shout out to two bands I think people should check out.
Yeah. What do you got, man?
We got Time Heist from Denver, Colorado.
No, I was going to ask you this. They just put out something new, right? Because I saw
they were doing a split with a band called Without Love. That's an English band, I guess.
Okay.
And the EP just went up for pre-order.
Okay, I was going to say I saw a pre-order going up with that, and I wasn't sure how that was. Because our boy at Crime Wave did something for them too. So right?
Yeah, they did. He did the EP, The Odds Against Tomorrow, which came out a few months back. And they're picking up traction. Cool straight edge hardcore. Check that out. And also another band that I'm friends with that I feel kind of deserves some shine is this band Wrong Move from Albany. They don't really get to the area too much.
All right, turn me on. What are they like?
They put out an EP on Unbeaten Records. I think it was 2 years ago now. Called Death Made Swift, which it kind of reminds me of Marauder, Hatebreed, All Out War, which without being too much derivative of any of that stuff, but it's tougher hardcore. It's really good. They actually just dropped a 2-song promo. It's up available on Spotify. It's kind of like their new release, and I feel like they don't really get enough attention, and I think they're really good at what they do. A lot of bands that do the style are kind of, it's kind of hit or miss, but I think they do it well, and I think they're worthy of some attention. So I just want to give them a shout out. That's all.
Yeah,
that's Wrong Move.
I love that. That's one of the cool things I think we get to do on the digest is that like because you have like your ear to the street really with that stuff is like get to turn people on to some new shit. Like I said, man, just in the past couple, obviously our whole life, like friendship, you've turned me on to new music and stuff. But yeah, man, lately you've been hitting out the park with finding the stuff you've been finding, man. So that's great. Yeah. So other contender for record of the year is gonna be from our guest here. I'm going to get everybody on, so give me a second, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. Very excited with our guest today. As we said earlier, this band is probably contender of the year for album of the year for their new record. Right? Would you say that, Yvonne, or no?
Yeah, hell yeah. Come on.
Hell yeah.
You know okay. I'm a fucking big fan of these guys.
Oh, I know you are. I was actually going to say, you're the one who turned me on to them. Again, going back to what we talked about earlier. So, yeah, contender, definitely going to be a contender for album of the year. I would like to welcome our good friend, Keith Freeman from Restraining Order, Maniac, and Near Dark.
What's up?
What's up, man?
Yeah. And Intimidation.
Well, his band resume, I think, could be like a 40-minute episode in itself. Right?
I have too many bands.
Is there such thing? Or do you rival Lumpy with the amount of bands? Because he used to have a ton.
Yeah, that's a good question. I gotta hit him up. We'll do a head-to-head challenge. See who has the most projects under their belt.
I love that. I wish I could play an instrument because, dude, I would be like one of you guys is just be playing fucking so many bands and just be starting shit all the time. So yeah, everybody, welcome Keith. Keith, for those who don't know, give us a quick little intro. Who you are, where you're from, the band, blah 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 blah
blah. My name is Keith. I play bass in pretty much all my bands right now, but mostly Restraining Order. I'm from Western Mass, specifically Springfield.
Yeah, shout out Western Mass.
Even though I just moved to Westfield last fall, so I'm a couple towns over. but I'll rep Springfield till the day I die.
Fuck yeah. Yo, talk to me about growing up in Western Mass and getting exposed to hardcore, because there was such a connection between Connecticut and Western Mass. I got to shout out my main number one Western Mass two bands is Push Button Warfare and Scurvy. Two of the best. Got to work with both those guys. Zeus and I were just texting, and Josh Gurdon is great. So yeah, I've always had a lot of fun in Western Mass. Fat Cats, right? Was that the club, Yvonne, with the infamous riot? Right?
There's Pearl Street, Fat Cats,
Pearl Street.
Fat Cats. Yeah,
Infinities.
Yeah, Infinities. Yeah. Oh yeah. Games and Lanes, if you want to go back to Agawam. So Keith, tell me a little bit about growing up and being exposed to like your first exposure into hardcore in Western Mass and stuff.
So I was kind of a late bloomer. Like rock music in general was never really on my radar as a kid. Just in my household, you know. So it wasn't until like middle school, late middle school, early high school that I started listening to like rock music. Basically, my pathway was kind of like through like anime. I'm like a big nerd, so
Sick.
like
Yeah, I definitely want. We're gonna talk about that.
I would watch like Dragon Ball Z music videos, like fan created ones, and Linkin Park was kind of like the catalyst for me. I was like,
Oh, that's
wow,
awesome.
it's like hip hop, but like with rock.
Yo,
cool
Linkin
Dragon
Park
Ball
has
Z.
tracks, so
I mean, I owe them a lot. But it wasn't until high school that I started to dabble into hardcore. Um, I was pretty much like a sponge. I was just absorbing everything through TV because I didn't really have good internet or like anybody to show me anything.
Mhm.
So whatever was on like Fuse, MTV2, just everything. I was just soaking it in, like pop punk, like metalcore, a lot of metalcore, like mainstream, like Hot Topic type shit.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
thought I thought was hardcore. I just kept hearing the term hardcore. So I wanted to know like, oh, what hardcore bands are local. So I went on remember Pure Volume?
Of course, yeah.
I searched locally hardcore and I found like some bands, specifically Chuck Brunswick.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I remember them.
Oh wow, remember them?
Yeah, so I was like, oh snap, they're playing Chicopee on Sunday. And I had my grandmother just drop me off there, Cabot Street, and it was all downhill from or
Yeah,
uphill from there, I guess.
that, as Ezek would say, that's when your curse started, because then you fell in love with this, and then it was all over. Now you're committed to touring and being in a band. So that was your first show, was at Cabot Street? Was that the first?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I went to like a Taste of Chaos, one of those festivals, like a year before. So I don't know if that counts because it's like
Shout out the
not really.
Used.
Hell yeah! I was
I
listening
love
to them
them,
like
Keith.
yesterday. Literally, I was just listening to them yesterday.
Yeah, they're great. So did the first time you get dropped off at this show, are you by yourself, or do you bring some of your friends with you, or you're just like, I'm gonna go?
No,
And
I'm
yeah,
by
tell me about
myself.
this. Okay, tell me about this.
I just like, I didn't really know anybody that was into hardcore. Like my friends in school were into like, I mean, I guess in retrospect they were kind of into it, but a lot of like new metal stuff they were into. Let me think. Like, I guess like stuff like Linkin Park, System of a Down, like Slipknot, like that kind of stuff they were all
Yep.
into. I don't remember if I even asked them, but I definitely went by myself, didn't know anybody, and was just like kind of in the corner.
Just taking
And
it
it
all
was,
in, like, what is this, right?
yeah. And I was just like, yeah, this is crazy. Because I saw like mosh pits before, but this was like, it was
Yeah.
it was not that. But I was like, oh man, pretty sure I got hit a couple times, and I was just like, oh man, that's sick.
And then so your grandma picks you up and you're just like, I got to come back, right? So obviously, are you at this point, like, how are you finding out? Are you still is the Pure Volume sort of your way of being plugged in,
I
or did you
discovered
get a flyer at that show that you're like, fuck, I'm coming back next week? Like, because I always say for Yvonne and I, there was certain places like the Tune In that even if you didn't know what the show was, you just kind of would go there. You just gravitate towards there. I don't know if there was anything like that for you guys.
so a couple things. One thing, around this time, there must have been a flyer because I want to say my second or third show, was 100 Demons, the Bruce LePage comeback show.
Oh, sick.
So at Cabot Street, I didn't know. I had watched like 100 Demons like music video on like
Headbangers Ball,
like
probably.
yeah for the
Repeat
one when they're in
process.
like yes repeat
Yep.
exactly yep. So I knew who they were through that, but I had no idea of the
Yo, and that's a
destruction.
fucking violent. That's a violent show to go to the back to. Yeah, I mean, Yvonne, we had a lot of fun going to Springfield. You know, like especially like the Games and Lanes, Infinity, Fat Cat era. You know.
Oh, for sure. We saw a lot of wild stuff during that time too.
Yeah, I mean, I always
You know?
obviously always just think of that like the Hate Breed riot at Fat Cats, which was just crazy.
I remember. Do you remember this, Jay? You remember? It was Earth Crisis show. In My Eyes played.
Is that
And
the one
like,
where everybody got mad at us because Josta got us on the bill so much higher than everybody else, and kids were like really mad?
no. Do you remember? This is kind of when Follow Through kind of broke up. Remember, there was like Craig Mack. I think Right Brigade might have opened or something, and there was a beef, and it was kind of weird to see like these guys that were in the same band for so long. They're kind of like beefing. It was kind of there's like a scene. Do you remember that?
No, I wish I did, man, because
Yeah.
that definitely
That was
sounds
at,
like
that was at Infinities. I remember that. I can remember that like yesterday. So,
the only thing I remember at Infinities, and are you sure this isn't the same? Well, I guess I don't think it would have been the same show, but Voice of Reason got to play, and then for some odd reason we ended up like really high on the bill.
I remember something like that. What
And
show was that
everybody
for?
It was Earth Crisis headline,
That might have been
I
it.
think,
I don't know.
and everybody was mad at us because we were playing after like Aftershock, and it wasn't our fault. Like I was like, that's just I don't know what happened. That's just like
Just the way the cookie crumbled.
yeah, it was really weird. And then we got pizza after that, which you know, some littering took place. I'll just say that. So Keith, tell me about the second show. So at this point, you're like, I need to go back to this, right?
Yeah. So my grandmother was like, I grew up in a super Christian household where I was pretty much sheltered my whole life, and my mom was not having anything with like, that white boy music.
Yeah,
With the scream,
especially a band called 100 Demons.
Yeah. So like, but I was living with my grandmother at the time because, like, as we like said earlier, I was like a big nerd for anime, and my mom also didn't like how like certain anime characters looked. She thought it was like the devil and all. She was kind of tripping out back then. So I lived with my grandmother, like junior year of high school, maybe yeah, either a little bit of freshman year or junior year. So she was just down for whatever I wanted. So she's just like, yeah, I'll bring you whatever. And Scott Lee had this website. I think it was like ogre26.com.
Oh yeah,
The
that's right.
number
I
might be
remember
wrong.
that.
So every show that would happen every Sunday would just be on that website. So I just go on there. I'm like, all right, I don't know any of these bands, but I'm going to go to this. Like every Sunday, I just went. Didn't matter. And like metalcore bands, like pop bands, like whatever. I just went. But that show, I just remember it was like I thought the first show was violent, and then I went to this, and I was just like, oh my god. And then Cabot Street was so small that you couldn't really like hide anywhere. So like I remember like trying to be in the back like corner, and it just people used to just go around in a circle and just like you know kids nowadays think it's I mean every generation kind of says this, but I'm like kids think shows are violent. They don't know, man. Like,
No, I don't know, man. I feel like I even said this before. I feel like back then, even dudes were just like, say, like a couple of years older than you, just looked like they fucking would kill you. You know what I
yeah, I
mean?
was
Like,
I was I was scared of everybody,
hell yeah. So,
but
so Keith, tell me about then. So you start going to shows. What's your first kind of like? Oh man, I want to be more involved in this. I want to play in a band. How does that come
right
together?
away, right away, I just see like people up there like opening bands or like kids my age, and I'm just like, yo, I want to do that. So right away, I got like my mom to buy me like, or yeah, my mom to buy me like this like really bad first deck guitar from Walmart because I didn't know anything about anything. So I just started learning myself. Like I was getting into hardcore at the same time as wanting to get into playing music. So I was as a big nerd, I was trying to like find out about the beginning of hardcore. Like I think this was around the time American Hardcore, the Stephen Blush book came out in DVD.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that, and I'm just reading about like, all like the original bands and Minor Threat, Black Flag, and all of that. And I'm trying to like I'm listening to it and I'm like, oh, this is easy to play on guitar. So I could learn how to do a power chord and then learn how to play like straight edge, like da 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 da. Like
Oh,
this is
that's
pretty
cool.
easy. So I just kept doing that um, until I started to get it down, like be able to do like a basic song or whatever. And then I think on my MySpace, I put in my profile at the time, like, oh, I play guitar. Let me know if you want to start a band or something.
That's awesome. And then, so
And this dude,
what was your first band?
it was this band I play guitar for called Use Your Head. It was this dude who was going to school in Western Mass from Maine, and the band was already like a band, but they needed a guitar player, and I was like, "Yo, I can try." I was like super scared because I'm like, I don't, am I good at like I'm like doubting myself. Am I good enough to do this? But I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And they kind of sounded like a mix between like I don't even know, No Way No Way Records bands at the time, like Government Warning and like Waste of Time, like those kind of like really fast, like early '80s worship bands,
Yep.
mixed with like Locking Out, kind of Righteous Jams kind of thing. Because our singer was like super into both of those things. So
That's
that
awesome.
was my
So,
first band.
and then what was your first like playing when you played your first show? Were you just like, fuck, I'm ready to like go off, or were you nervous, or were you kind of like you were ready to
I
go?
didn't. I never went off like for like up until like maybe like the last like 5 6 years. I was always just focused on like not messing up and playing the riffs right. People are like, it's hardcore. It doesn't matter. I'm like, well, it matters to me because like when I mess up, it just ruins my mood. I don't want to mess up. So
I feel
that's
that.
always going through my head. Yeah.
I feel that. Yvonne,
Um.
Yvonne looks like he has something to say. What do you got there?
No, I'm just listening
Oh,
to you
all
guys
right.
talk.
Okay, I
I
got
love
some.
hearing. I
Oh,
just
go
saying.
ahead.
I love hearing the origin stories of people in bands that that like obviously I've known Keith for a little while and like we know each other. We say what's up. It's nice to hear like kind of the inner workings of like how he got. I like to hear how people got into the music, how people got into the culture and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's especially cool too. Like when when you're talking about like the venues and shit that like, or that we kind of know. So it's cool like that's you got exposed through the same places like that we were going to, which is pretty awesome. Um, let's talk about, so from that band, how many bands do you do before you get into like your first serious band? And was Restraining Order like that first serious band that you were
I'd say
touring with, or?
was Violence to Fade kind of the first band that kind of caught
Oh
on
yeah,
for you, I'd say,
yeah,
right?
Violence to Fade.
Yeah. Um. So from Use Your Head, I started meeting people, going to like playing shows and stuff locally. Uh, Will, the drummer of Restraining Order, was in a band called Pressure's On at the time, and actually, even before that, my next band would be this band Alert. It's kind of like a youth crew band from Western Mass, and we needed a bass player because the kid I met, Kyle, who's guitar player Restraining Order, we both played guitar, and somebody needed to like sacrifice it to play bass, and I was like, this was like literally so 2007 is when I joined Use Your Head, and in 2008 is when we're like starting Alert, and I was like, oh, it can't be that bad. And Kyle gave me one of his basses that he had, like a shitty bass. Um, and I just converted to bass, and I've been playing bass ever since. So
That's awesome.
that
So then from there you're just become a bass player.
yeah, Alert's kind of the first band that I did a tour with because that next summer, like we put out the demo immediately. This label hit us up to put it out on a 7 inch. So that was my first like record was
Yeah, I
with
was just gonna
Alert.
ask.
Um, we did a couple weekends, and then we did a summer tour down to Florida and back. That was like
Sick.
my first ever like outing or whatever. That was summer 2009. And then I pretty much just kind of was in Alert until Violence to Fade started in 2012.
Okay,
Violence
so
to Fade
talk
started.
to us a little about Violence to Fade, because that's a band I think that is like most people probably know you from. Tell me about the formation of that and kind of all the stuff you did with them.
So Alert was starting to like become, I don't want to say burdensome, but like I felt like I was the only one trying to play shows or get things. I was like the only one in the band trying to organize things, and I just kind of got sick of doing that. And I've always I'm like a huge New York hardcore guy, like sick of it all. Straight Ahead, my favorite bands. Like I love all of it, Killing Time and Breakdown, Outburst, like all that stuff. And I always wanted to do a band like that. So I just started. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna write a demo myself and then do everything myself, and then um, try to find members later. So I recorded what became the Violence to Fade demo. Well, I wrote all the songs, and then I asked Will to. I was gonna just do everything, the bass, guitar, everything myself, and I was gonna have Will, who was the drummer of Alert, but wasn't in Alert at the time because he quit, to at least like record drums for me for the
Okay.
demo.
Yeah, Will
And
does
once
some
he,
great recordings.
yeah, and this was like year one recording Will, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
in the beginning. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm down." And we recorded the demo, and he was just like, "Yo, I'll just be in this band if you need a drummer. This is sick." And I was just like, "All right." And then I hit up, I think Sean Nyland was down, Jake Miller, shout out to Hat City Tattoo, was down, and my friend Cody, who was in our friend's band Caught in the Crowd at the time. So we're already, that was like, the people not being from the same area band that like kind of just formed Connecticut, Western Mass, Cape Cod kind of hybrid.
That's
And
awesome.
once
Yeah,
that
shout out
start
Sean Nyland too.
that that like started to pop a little bit in the beginning in our friend group, to the point where like I was like, oh, I don't really care about trying to book shows with Alert because I'll just roll with Violence to Fade. So Alert, as expected, decided to break up right as Violence to Fade like became a band. So it kind of worked out. And we did I don't think we did anything too crazy tour wise. We just did a bunch of weekends, and ended up putting out an LP on Triple B.
In the
That
beginnings
was a
of Triple B in the early days, right? Like in the earlier days.
kinda I don't remember when Triple B started, but yeah, comparative to now for sure.
Yeah,
Because
that's
I think the
awesome.
LP came out in 2016, maybe 15 or 16.
And then how does Violence to Fade wind down and you start Restraining Order? Because one of the coolest things, and this was how Yvonne showed me you guys, was when the New Age record came out, and I was like, holy shit, that's so awesome that A, New Age is a label still, because I had no idea, and B, that they had signed like a Connecticut Western Mass close to home band, and that was actually the first time I had seen you guys. Yvonne and I went to go. You guys played with, was it with Bold at the State House? Was that the show?
Yeah, I was.
Yep.
Yep,
Was like
yep. I have
one of the first State House shows. So yeah, tell me about Violence to Fade winding down and starting Restraining Order.
kind of the similar vibe to Alert, where like towards the end, it was just like kind of becoming a chore to try to get everybody on board to do things. And um, at the time, like me and Will, who's been in like pretty much every band that I've been in the area up until like recent times, we've always talked about wanting to do like an early '80s, like honestly early 2000s kind of worship band. Like we are like Last in Line from Western Mass, like was a big kind of band we wanted to do, like like the Negative Approach kind of vibe kind of band. And we were just so busy with other bands, we never really tried to like actually
Shout
do
out
it.
to Mikey Flynn, real quick. Last in line.
Oh yeah. And I think it was I think at the time I was in another band called Depths of Reality, and we were playing in some festival in Toronto, and Pat, the singer of Restraining Order, Pat Cousin, shout outs, was our roadie, like our road dog for the weekend. And we saw that band Career Suicide from Toronto, and we were just like, "Yo, Pat, first of all, we want you. We want to do as this fast band, and we want you in it because Pat was in Contempt at the time, and we are like, yo, they're not utilizing Pat to his fullest potential because that guy has a lot of energy, and
Oh
it's like
yeah, he
it's
does.
just like we're like we once we saw Contempt and we were like, we need Pat, like he's the missing piece of the puzzle. And after that show that we saw with Career Suicide, me and Pat were like, all right, let's do it. And then literally that next month, we wrote the Restraining Order demo, and then we sent the music to Pat, and he just like in an hour sent us the lyrics, and that was it. We were just like, we're ready.
That's awesome. How did you guys get in touch with New Age? Like, how did that all come together?
So when the demo came out, I think we put it out ourselves, and then we started to write because even when we did the demo, we had leftover songs that would like eventually become the 7 inch. So we're like trying to shop around, and I did it the old school way of like mailing out our demo with a letter to like pretty much every poppin' label at the time. Like I tried Triple B, I tried like I think Back to Back was like a label at the time. Like I was just fishing it out. And my friend Steven is good friends with Mike from New Age and would help him with mail orders and stuff. And
Sick.
he was like, yeah, he was like, "Yeah, if you want, I can pitch it to Mike." And I was like, "Yo, that would be crazy. Like, do it." Like, I didn't think he would actually do it. And then, like, the next day, Mike sent me a message on like Facebook, was just like, "Yo, I really like your band. Like, I'm down to put out the demo. I mean, I put out the record for you guys." And then we're just like geeking out, like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god!" Like,
that's so cool because that label has such a fucking awesome history. And then so it's like, man, to fucking like, get on there pretty early on with like your first release is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think the thing with New Age too, it's almost like I think by this generation they're almost kind of forgotten, but they were in the
That was
90s,
a
they were
huge,
a
yeah, that
big
was a
label, you know
huge
what I mean? It's
deal.
cool they did kind of they started putting out records again, but that's a very important label in the history of hardcore, if you ask me. I mean, in the 90s, Strife, Course Disapproval,
Unbroken.
Unbroken, I mean, you name it, they put out a lot of influential records.
Yeah, it was super cool. Like I said, man, that was my first exposure to you guys. And Yvonne was like, "Yo, you got to go see them." Because admittedly, fast hardcore is real hit or miss with me. But watching you guys, I was like, "Oh shit, this." It appealed to me because it was still like it kind of has some modern flourishes. It's fast and shit, but it's not like super old head, if that makes sense.
yeah, we kind of blend like a variety of influences of like everything we like, and it just somehow worked. Like the early '80s, early 2000s, like even like Epitaph, like '90s, like Bad Religion, and like just that era of like punk, like just everything. We just kind of just meld it into one, and it works, I guess.
Yeah, that's so sick. So then from there, you guys end up linking up with Triple B though, and end up doing like your first album, right?
Yeah. So the thing with Sam, I feel with Triple B is he has to like see your band before a lot of the times before he decides like, oh, that's a band I'm gonna hit up to do it, even if he's friends with them,
Yep.
Because I was like, not on the same level as I am now, but I was, very what's up, like friendly with Sam, stuff like that.
Yeah, shout out
And
Triple
then
B,
there's
man. They kill it, dude. He does it such a great job with his releases. And I also shout out to Sam for being one of the first when we opened the record store. He came and did that pop up and blessed us with that, which was amazing. So yeah, he's super awesome.
shout out to Sam. Gonna see him tomorrow, actually. Well,
Send him our
2 days.
love for sure. So yeah,
Well,
so how does that end up? So how does that end up happening?
basically, we played this one show in Cambridge at the Democracy Center, which is like a really cool venue, um, run by somebody I'm not very fond of anymore. But we slipped through the cracks and were able to play, and it was like one of the best shows we've ever played.
That's awesome.
And there was like one of those things where like a video of it went circulating, and it was just like so sick. Like the whole room was just moving side to side, which was like, we when we started the band, we just did it because it was like the type of band we wanted to do. Um, and there wasn't really like a lot of, at least in the mainstream of hardcore, like a lot of bands like that. So like, I felt like a lot of kids didn't really know how to like mosh or like have fun to this kind of band.
Right.
But at that show, it was like, all right, yeah, maybe they do, because it was like it was so cool. And then after, sorry, I guess he saw that and was just like, "Yo, you guys want to do a record with me?" And we're like, "Hell yeah, we do."
Hell yeah. Yes. Dude, they're like the poppinest label. Yeah, that's super cool. Again, I thought that made my best of list when it came out. That was in 2019, I think.
This World Is
Yep.
Too Much, man. My
Yeah.
favorite LP of 2019
Yeah,
by
it was
far.
it was
Oh,
on my list for sure.
appreciate that.
And then let's talk about the new single before I pick your brain on some nerdy shit. But not to jump around too much. You guys then you do a split with Warfare, which was cool.
Hmm.
And then most recently you just dropped a new single called Misled. Album pre-order just came out. So if you haven't gotten that, everybody should go over and pick that up. Tell us about the new single, tell us about the new album. Keith, I mean, again, from the last record, from this world is too much, to this, the band has toured a fucking shit ton. I mean, it seems like you're always gone. Um, yeah, like tell me about the journey in between and getting to do this record, and what can people expect from this one?
All right, so we've had the concept idea of most of the songs for the new LP Locked in Time. Ever since we put out This World Is Too Much, it's just a matter of like we've had so many shows, so many tours, we didn't really have time to sit down and refine all the songs. When This World Too Much came out, we did one tour. It was the Terror Kublai Khan Magnitude tour, and then COVID happened. So that was just like kind of like killed the buzz for us in terms of like, oh man, we had all this planning of like touring on the record, but now it's like, all right, now we have all this time. Let's start refining these songs. And so when COVID, like kind of when shows came back, we pretty much had every song that we wanted to be on the record, like at least written. But at the same time, we needed to resume playing more shows and touring. So we just started touring a lot when shows came back and didn't really have time to record it. And then finally, we're like, I think it was like what is this, 2023 right now?
Yep.
It was like last spring, late winter. We're like, all right, let's crack down and record these. So we spent most of the spring recording it. Um, and it just kind of took a while getting everything recorded and all the artwork and all of that done. Um,
do we have a release date for the album already?
July 21st, I believe.
July
Right?
21st is the whole thing.
July
Okay, awesome.
21st.
Yeah, so definitely, I know pre-orders are up there. We'll have it at our shop. Um, like I said, just from the songs we've heard and what we know about the band, I know that this one will be on my top 20 of 23. Keith, you guys been touring a bunch. You just finished a bunch of tours, man. Tell us about those.
We just got off like 6 days with Drain. Like literally, I got home at 5:30 this morning.
Yeah, you're a
We had to
real one
try.
for doing this today, man. You're the best.
We spent like 32 hours driving from Austin, Texas, back to
How
Northeast.
crazy were those shows though, dude? Drain is like I feel so lucky to have seen Drain now because I feel like we are watching a moment like similar when we saw Turnstile really taking that thing. Like I'm not saying in that same way, but you get what I'm saying. What was it like playing those shows,
Oh yeah,
man?
it was insane. Like exactly what you just said is kind of like was going through my mind. They were like how Turnstile was like, I don't know, like 6 years ago when they were like before they like moved on to like the higher level that they are now. They were just like this force to be reckoned with at hardcore shows, and that's kind of like drained. They got it. Like and their shows were insane. Like very honored to be asked to like play those shows with them.
Yeah, that's super sick. All right. So Keith, I got another question for you.
Yeah.
Let's talk non-music unless Yvonne's got some music stuff. So I got some quick stuff before we wrap
Well, I
up.
got some music stuff that we'll
All right,
wrap up
go
with.
ahead.
Just
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask about obviously Keith is another band. He's another band called Maniac.
And
They're
Near Dark
they're
with my boy Matt from Set Your Goals.
they're wrapping it up soon. What's the deal with
Yeah.
Maniac? Why'd you feel it's time to call it a day with that band right now?
It's more so like Will. Like I play like I joined Maniac like years after they were already a band. Like most people don't know, Maniac's been a band for a long time, like 2000, like 8 or 9 or something or 10. I don't know. But I'm just along for the ride. Like if he doesn't want to do it anymore, I'm just like, all right, I already have like 100 bands, so it's fine. It's fine with me. I just think we're just busy.
Makes
And it's
sense,
just
but
like,
you guys had a good run, put out some good releases, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
Intimidation, I see you guys work with Mr. Face Records, obviously Jesse Gasface, shout out to him. You guys actually got a show this Saturday, Brooklyn Monarch with 45 adapters, Battery March, a few others. Tell me about Intimidation and kind of how that's been going.
It's been good. I just feel bad because I've been like so busy with Restraining Order that I haven't been able to play with them. But I told him like, yo, our homie Mario from Dusters has like been filling in on bass for me. So I'm like, if these are a good show and I'm not around, take it because I don't want to be the reason why we can't do it. Because Intimidation started off as like a pandemic band between me and the singer. Like me and him pretty much wrote the whole demo, and then it kind of just flourished from there. So they got a lot. We got a lot coming up. I think I have a couple shows that I'm actually playing like later in the summer. with them. So
Awesome.
oh, and a new record, Intimidation, 7-inch coming out in August.
Awesome. Good to hear, man. Great band. Intimidation, one of the best Oi bands out today. There's been kind of a resurgence. Bands like that recently. I'm here for it. I love it. And you guys are great. Jay, what do you got?
Keith, if a dude, so I want to talk about two of your favorite things here.
Yep.
Video games. Well, it's a specific video game, and then of course manga and anime and all that shit. Talk to me about this. Say like somebody like me and Yvonne, who we wouldn't know where to jump in.
Yeah, what's like the entry level?
What's entry anime that you would suggest? I mean, I've heard Dragon Ball Z from everybody, but I feel like it's too much. I mean, everybody knows I play Fortnite, so I see all the characters from like, I don't even want to say the names because I'll say them wrong. What would be what's a good series if you're like, you know, like Yvonne's got his son and he's like, yo, we're going to sit down and explore something. What's the one we're going to?
Dragon Ball Z was it back like when I was a kid, but now it's different. I would say Attack on Titan is a big one for now.
Okay.
Currently.
They just finished a part in Fortnite, actually. I got a bunch of his stuff.
Yeah, that's a big one, I would say. Good.
Naruto, that's another one, right?
Naruto's good, but there's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes. So it depends on.
He's like the Victory Records of anime.
Yeah, it depends on how like deep you want to go. There's a lot of good current ones right now.
All right, show what would be one you would recommend?
I would say Demon Slayer, if you like.
I've heard about that on some of the sites I read.
That one's good. The story's good. The animation is like incredible. I would go with that. There's so many.
All right, let's go. We'll go with Demon Slayer. Me and Yvonne will have to watch that. So the next time we see you, we can talk about it. And then before we go, Keith, let's talk about Dance Dance Revolution, because this is one of my fucking favorite things that you do. For those who don't know, this dude fucking will slay the fucking planet on this thing.
Yo, he cooks up on that shit.
Keith, tell me, how did this start? And how did you get, like, dude, why don't you own one of these? Remember you posted a machine and I thought you bought it. Remember I texted you. I was like, yo, you got it? It was like your boy bought one though.
Yeah, my boy bought it. He actually lives in Wallingford, so it's in his garage. I just started me one day in like middle school walking by an arcade at the Holyoke Mall. And I'm like, yo, what is that? And it was the DDR machine, one of the early ones. And I tried it and I was so bad. And I was like, at the time, it was out for PlayStation 1. Like, so I like convinced my mom, and I think I was like a writer back, like I used to write stories and stuff. I won like some writing contest and won like $500. And
that's awesome.
I just used it all to buy like the game and the little plastic mats at home. So I just learned at home and then went back to the arcade and was just like, I would just go every chance I can. And then like before I got into hardcore, I was an arcade rat. So I would just go every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I would go for Dance Dance Revolution and Marvel vs. Capcom, and I would just play. So like that's how I got into fighting games and dancing games, and I just, just years and years of playing DDR.
That's awesome.
I'm better now than I was.
When me and Yvonne used to work at Pacific Sun, where there was a game, an arcade across the hall, and we used to watch people play that. But yeah, dude, it's awesome to watch you do the videos of it. Like I said, it's fucking so impressive, man. But
yo, I got one more thing for Keith.
Yeah.
So Keith, people might not know this if they follow you online and stuff. You kind of have this beef with Bubba Ray Dudley of the Dudley Boys. If you're wrestling fans out there, people know it kind of has. I've seen it kind of go from like kind of being kind of serious, but you kind of guys know each other. Tell me a little bit.
He came to a show, right?
Yeah, like you guys are cool now. You used to like diss him a lot, but it's like cool now, right?
Yeah, you know him. He's like he's a big heel. So like he blocked all my friends at the time because I called him out when he was in TNA for a rep in New York hardcore. I'm like, this dude doesn't look. It's like, what's your favorite agnostic front record? And then he like responded, was like Victim in Pain. And
wow, he got the right answer.
Yeah, he did. Over the last 10 years, he just would respond every now and again. I'd be like, yo, I'm playing New York. Where are you at? And I would tag him. And he was like, honestly, it was during the pandemic that I showed him like a picture that an autographed photo someone gave me. And he was just like, yo, give me your address. I'll send you a better one. And then he sent me one with like, this is Keith, get the tables. And
that's awesome.
I sent him, I was like, yo, I'm in a hardcore band. I sent him a Restraining Order LP. And I was like, we play the area a lot. And because I don't want to like blow up a spot, but
yeah, you don't have to do that.
and I was like, if we ever play and you want to come, I can put you on the guest list. And he's always like, just invite me to everything, and eventually I'll be able to come. And
That's
then
fucking
last winter,
awesome.
he came to a show in New Jersey. It was dope.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome,
That's
man.
great, man.
He wants
Um,
he wants to do a band with me. He wants to do a band with me.
Please dude, can I put that out if on Static Era, please?
He's calling it. Jay's calling it right now.
I'm calling it now. I don't even need to hear it. I'll give you the money to go record it. I don't even need to hear it.
You'll have to collab. You're gonna have to collab with Sam because he caught onto it. He caught
always.
onto it on Twitter because it's all through Twitter. And he's like, I'll put it out. So
Yo, Sam knows I'll take a variant for our store. Come on.
Yo,
Throw me a bone,
it.
you know? So Keith, I just wanted to thank you so much for spending some time with us, man. I know you had a long trip. Where can everybody get you online?
My social media is Keith X Awake on mostly everything because I'm a big Wide Awake fan. Best fucking band ever.
Hell yeah.
Wide Awake, Last Straw.
Oh yeah.
And then the band is Restraining Order HC, right? On Instagram?
Oh yeah, on Instagram. Actually, we have a website I made.
No shit. What is that? Restrainingorder.com?
.me.
.me. Awesome.
And intimidation oi on Instagram.
Yeah. I have like a link tree. If you go to linktree.com/KeithXAwake, I have like all my band's links on there.
And we'll have all those links in the bottom of the description. So Keith, thank you again, man, for doing this. Please send the best to the boys in Restraining Order, man. We are so proud of you, dude. Again, man, seeing you fucking crush it.
You guys are the best through the shit, man. I've missed the last couple.
You guys are the best.
I know you guys are playing Wallingford, I think in August with Crown Court. I can't wait.
We will be there.
I've been to my house. I'm psyched.
Yeah, we'll be there, man. We love you, Keith, so much. Stay safe on the road, man. Everybody, thank you so much for checking out the digest episodes. Subscribe to the fucking YouTube, the newsletter, all that good shit, and we'll catch you next week. Thank you so much. Peace.